Hello, my name is Rachel and I'm here today to film my TBR for the month of October. So the month of October is a month-long readathon called Victober, and it's where people just read Victorian literature for the month, and I'm hoping to take part. I really actually want to take part because I've not read classics this year pretty much at all, I don't think. I finished university like a year and a half ago, and obviously from college and university it was just required reading, which tended to all be classics. And although I do love them, I really needed a break for myself to just read whatever I fancied. But recently I've been really missing classics, so I'm definitely hoping to get back into some, and I thought Victober was definitely the best opportunity because Victorian classics are some of my favourites of all time. So yeah, I'm very excited, and so I'm just here today to tell you some of the books that I'm hoping to read. I do not have all of them with me. I have 3 of them, and then I'm going home on the 7th of October till the 17th of October. So when I go home I'll be picking up a lot more books. So yeah, I've kind of predicted what I think I'm going to pick up when I go home, but I feel like I'm just going to look at my shelves and things are going to jump out at me. So yeah, this is just like a tentative TBR, apart from the first 2, which I'm definitely 100% hoping to read, and then maybe the reread, but we'll see. So there are some challenges. So the first book I'm planning to read is read a book that someone has recommended to you. So the book I'm planning to read for this challenge is Far from the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy. This was recommended to me by my mum when I read Tess the D'Urbervilles. I was asking her, because she'd read a few Thomas Hardys, which ones she thought I should go for next, and she said this one would be a good one because it was quite funny. So I've kind of wanted to read it ever since. So this was published in 1874, obviously it's by Thomas Hardy, and early this year I did actually read some. I got up to chapter 8, which is page 46, and then because I was moving to Switzerland I just didn't bring this book with me, but when my mum came to visit I asked her to bring it because I really wanted to carry on with it. So I'm going to start again from the beginning during Victober because I just really adored it. Like, there's only 46 pages I read and there's already this many tabs in, which kind of shows how much I loved it. So this is definitely the first one I'll be reading, and 100% the main book I will read this month. Like, this is the one I really want to read. This book follows Bathsheba Everdeen and basically the men who want to get with her, and she sounds like quite an independent lady from what I'd read so far anyway. And yeah, I'm just very excited to be picking this back up. I don't know loads about the story, but to be honest, that's kind of how I like to go into books, so I'm not going to look it up too much. But yes, so I have this one. Then the next book I read isn't for any of the challenges, it's just a book that I would like to read for the month. And these are the 2 that I'm definitely going to read. So I'm definitely going to read Far from the Madding Crowd, and then hopefully definitely read Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens. So this was published between 1837 and 1838. It was serialised, as a lot of Dickens' work was. This is about an orphan called Oliver Twist who basically lives in London and joins a kind of ragtag group of pickpockets and stuff, and it's about his exploits and how he, I think, stops being an orphan, but I'm not 100% sure. And this says that Dickens' novel is both an angry indictment of poverty and an adventure filled with an air of threat and pervasive evil, which just sounds really awesome to me. And also, this is one of the most beautiful covers of the Penguin English Libraries. 100%, like, I love these little clocks. So yeah, I'm definitely hoping to read this one. I have read A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, which was okay. I wasn't in love with, but I didn't hate it. It was enjoyable. But I've also read Hard Times, which I really liked. I didn't like it when I was reading it. I kind of thought Hard Times was a good choice for title when I was reading it. But I think that's because I was reading it for university and I was having to read it fast. And I remember the minute I put it down thinking, oh, actually, I really enjoyed that. I just think it's absolutely fantastic. And one of the things that I really loved about it was the women in that story. There's 2 main women that I really enjoyed in it. And I think Nancy's going to be a similar situation in Oliver Twist, so that's another reason I want to pick it up. So yeah, they're the main 2 that I want to pick up in Victober, like, to begin with, because they're the ones I've got with me. Another one of the challenges is to read a supernatural book or a book with supernatural elements, and for this I am hoping to read The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This was published in 1890, so towards the end of the Victorian period, and I really want to read this one because, number one, it's one of my girlfriend's favourite books, and so I always want to read it. I want to read it anyway because I quite enjoy Oscar Wilde. I've read The Importance of Being Earnest by him, and I absolutely adore that. I think it's hilarious. So I think I will enjoy The Picture of Dorian Gray, and also I have a beautiful penguin cloth bound edition of it. So it's just so pretty that I want to read it, basically. And that one is at home, so I'm hoping to pick that up later. Then the next challenge is a book by a lesser known writer from the Victorian period, and for this I'm hoping to read a collection of Robert Browning's poetry that I have at home. Now, I don't know exactly when this is published because I think it's a collected edition of his best works, so it's kind of not got a specific publishing date, but he was born in 1812 and died in 1889, so it's kind of gonna be within that time period. Robert Browning was the writer of my favourite poem of all time at the moment anyway, which is Porphyria's Lover, and he's also wrote some amazing poems like My Last Duchess and stuff like that. He is very famous for his dramatic monologues, which I really, really enjoy as a poetic form, so I'm really excited to pick that one up. And yeah, I don't know if he's that much lesser known, but I never hear anyone mention him like on BookTube and things like that, and he's someone that I really, really enjoy and I wish people would. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be reading for that one. Another challenge for Victober is to read a book by an author who is Scottish, Welsh or Irish, and for this I'm hoping to read Kidnapped by Robert Louis Stevenson. I have read and really enjoyed Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson, and my dad adores Kidnapped. He always tells me to read it, so again that's another recommendation. So yeah, I'm hoping to pick that one up, but I'm unsure of that one, kind of. This one was serialised in the year of 1886 and is about a man who gets kidnapped, taken off on a boat, and his search for justice afterwards. That's what I know of it, but I'm not really looking it up because I don't really want to ruin it for myself. So, and then the last challenge is to read a book by a female Victorian author. Now I have two in mind. The other book that I'm hoping to read is by a female author, but it's not for the challenge really because it's a reread. But the first choice I have is Silas Marner by George Eliot, otherwise known as Mary Ann Evans, and this was published in 1861. Silas Marner is about a man who lives alone in exile from a religious community and is given the chance to transform his life when his money is stolen and a young orphan comes to his door, sort of thing. I haven't read any George Eliot and I just always hear her recommended, and I would love to pick up Silas Marner, so I have that one at home. I might pick that one up. I'm not sure if I have other George Eliots at home, but I basically want to pick up one of her works, so it will probably be Silas Marner. But yeah, if I have like North and South at home or anything, I'm more inclined to pick that one up just because I've heard that one is really, really good. But yeah, I'm not sure if I actually have a copy of that or not. So yes, and then the last book that I have is a book that I'm really, 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 really 100% hoping to read, and this is my other choice for the book by a female Victorian author, and is The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. The Tenant of Wildfell Hall was written by Anne Bronte under the pseudonym of Acton Bell, and it was published in 1848, and it was actually quite popular when it was published, but apparently upon Anne's death, Charlotte stopped it being republished afterwards, which is quite interesting. And from what I know, this is a work of feminist literature. It's about somebody who is sort of beaten and domestically abused by their husband and runs away because they fear for themselves and their young child's life. And apparently the character of the alcoholic husband was based on Branwell Bronte, who was an alcoholic, and I think he died early actually from it. And yeah, I got the Tenant of Welfare Hall. I have the Penguin Cloth Pan edition that I bought from the Haworth Parsonage Museum, which is the one where you can go and look around the house that the Brontes lived in. And I think I got it when I went with my mum, and I got to write part of Wuthering Heights. So they're doing this big thing for next year, I think it's 2018, because it's like bicentennial of Wuthering Heights or something like that. I can't remember. They did a similar thing for Jane Eyre, and so they're having like people write a line of Wuthering Heights, people who visit and stuff. So me and my mum wrote a line, which was really, really, really exciting. And yeah, I would just really, really, really love to pick up Tenant of Welfare Hall. So that's definitely near the top of the list. And then the other book is kind of tentatively on here because I'm definitely going to reread it before the end of the year. But it's a book that the weather has to be absolutely perfect and on point for. And because I'm living in Switzerland, like it's still pretty much like British summertime here. So yeah, I think it's going to be late November that ends up being the perfect weather. So I'm not sure, but if the weather is good towards the end of October, then I will be picking this up to reread it. And it is Wuthering Heights, which is by Emily Bronte, who is my favourite Bronte so far. I haven't read anything by Anne Bronte, so obviously can't say she's my favourite yet, really. I love this book. I have read Jane Eyre and just prefer this so much. Like, this is one of my favourite books of all time. And yeah, this was written by Emily Bronte. It was published in 1847 under the pseudonym of Ellis Bell. And yeah, this is just one of the best books of all time ever. It basically follows a man called Lockwood who goes to stay at Wuthering Heights, and he meets this very strange, very aggressive man called Heathcliff and doesn't really understand why he's horrible like he is. And then the housekeeper, Nellie Dean, decides to tell him Heathcliff's story and the story of Wuthering Heights and the neighbouring house of Thrushcross Grange. And yeah, obviously there's a very famous love story between Heathcliff and Cathy, which is one of my favourite stories of all time. I wouldn't really call it a love story in a romantic sense, but yeah, I absolutely adore it. And then obviously you have like a mirroring of that story later on with the next generation. And yeah, I just love this book. Like, one of my favourite things about this book is the setting and the weather and how that is like the main character. And so I'm just so excited to reread it. But yeah, like I said, I could never read this in summer. Like, if someone reads this in summer, I just imagine that they won't be able to get enough from it because it's just not the right weather type for it. So yeah, I am hoping to read this, but like I said, tentatively, because yeah, weather needs to be on point. So yeah, that is the TBR for all the books I'm hoping to read in Victober. That is actually quite a lot, and since I've not read classics for a while, I'm not so sure how well that is going to go, but I am really excited to read some Victorian literature anyway, and some more classics. So yes, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!